Why in the world are you continuing to brave this?
I love it. I mean, if they say it's once in the century thing, I don't want to miss it.
Yeah,
we drove all the way from near Princeton, about 45 minutes, but it was okay.
So you don't even live here and you came to this?
Yeah.
That's probably not a good move. Where are you staying? Are you going back to Princeton?
Yeah, we're going to go back. Just going to come here, look around for about a half hour, and then we'll go back.
Okay, well, be careful. Probably not the wisest move. But as you can see, there are some people, some residents that are still here. If you look this way, some residents in this condo complex. And then if you look at this food court to my right, this T&R food court, Tony Roberts is the owner. I spoke with him earlier. He was saying he's expecting, from what he's heard, he's got his 3 restaurants there boarded up, but what he's expecting is 3 to 5 feet of water in each one of those restaurants. He's expecting a total loss, but he's probably been the most positive person I've spoken with. He said, well, the good part about this, it'll create so many jobs for people that'll have to come here to help us rebuild, because most of the residents here are expecting catastrophic damage from Hurricane Sandy. Let's send it back inside to you in the studio.
All right,
we're going to
Chris.
get back inside mobile too.
All right, Chris, stay safe down there. Chris is a very great reporter, and he always wants to get the best picture and the best story for us, but obviously we want our crews to be safe as well. And, you know, he was talking about the rebuilding effort that will eventually happen here after the storm. You're going to need money for that, and obviously the federal government will have to chip in a lot of that money. Thankfully, the governors in our states have already declared a state of emergency, which makes us eligible for those federal funds much earlier.
Which we are certainly going to need around here. You got to wonder about people's idea of fun showing up on the scene like this.
From Princeton.
And is it
He drove
safe?
from Princeton.
And what exactly you get out of it? Well, we'll leave that up to him.
You get the experience, Maurice.
Yeah, okay. We can watch it on TV because we're getting it right here from mobile too.
I'm satisfied
up close
with
and
this.
Personal, exactly. All right. Viewers are sending their pictures in. Please keep them coming. Hazel Sanchez is sorting through them. We've got some spectacular shots, Hazel.
Yeah, and those pictures really are just pouring into our website right now. Some of them are simply remarkable. Take a look at the first one here. This is the unbelievable scene in Beach Haven on Long Beach Island in New Jersey. The rushing water has overwhelmed this street. The stores are now waterfront property. The road completely submerged. The next picture here, high winds are also making themselves known, downing trees in Woodcliff Lake, New Jersey. Susan Tapanara posted this photo of a massive tree that looks like it snapped just as easily as a twig would. And they are experiencing the same problem in Rivervale, New Jersey, where this giant tree came down, nearly crashing into the house there in the rear of the photo. Thanks to Kelly Lefcourt for that photo. And again, if you are safely able to take photos or videos and would like to share them with us, head over to our website at cbsnewyork.com. And Chris Reggie had some pretty amazing pictures out there. And that gentleman, I'm sure, that was out there taking pictures, maybe he'll send some to us. Who knows? But
oh boy, we don't recommend it.
Don't take the risk.
Please don't
take that risk.
Please don't.
It's not worth it, that's for sure.
Good shots there for us, Hazel. Thank you so much.
You got it.
You know, we mentioned the Tappan Zee closing as of 4 p.m. earlier. One thing that I didn't make clear during the news conference with Governor Cuomo earlier is he announced that the George Washington and the Verrazano bridges will be closing as of 7 p.m. tonight. So that's just a little over 2 hours from now. So all 3 of those bridges will be closed due to the high winds expected from Hurricane Sandy.
All right, let's get a look at Middletown, New Jersey right now. CBS 2's Mike Puccinelli is there right now. Emergency workers really worried about people who think they can tough it out, and that's certainly not a good idea. Mike, look at this right behind you. It's coming right at you.
Be careful, Mike.
Yeah, right now the waves are really getting bigger, and the last minute you turn your face into the waves, it's pretty difficult to look out in that direction for any length of time. They look to be a good 8 feet right now, I would say. It's definitely picked up in the last few minutes. Right now, my photographer he's balancing up against a tree right now, and he's got a large colleague holding him in place so that he doesn't blow over and he can try and get this shot. Now, as I walk up this way, you can see to my right, they've built this large mound of sand here. That's to protect the town behind us. The beach right now, normally it's at least 150 yards wide. Right now, there pretty much is no beach here, and yet you were talking about people coming out to look. We have seen people that have been out in this area ignoring the advice of emergency responders and coming out for a little thrill. So definitely some folks still braving the elements, much to the chagrin of the emergency responders who are in the area as well.
All right, Mike, thank you for that update. Conditions there continue to worsen. Even just a few minutes ago when we checked in with Mike, I mean, it was bad. Now it's getting really bad in the area of Middletown, most definitely. As we schedule a break here, we do want to give you an update on the crane collapse happening on 57th Street. You can see that the crane is still dangling precariously in that area. We can tell you that residents in that area have been evacuated, and those engineers that Marcia told us that were climbing up to the top there to try to see how they can secure this crane, well, they can't climb up all the way up to the top, 75 stories, because of the wind conditions that are happening in Manhattan right now. We'll continue to follow this situation.
We should also tell you that 57th Street is shut down in that area between 5th and 8th Avenue. Stay away. Meantime, look at Times Square, the crossroads of the world, a ghost town. Our coverage of Sandy pounding the tri-state area continues right after this.
For a little bit, we can show this, or we can keep the picture up for you, because again, I think this is a really strong example of why people were asked to leave, because once this all blows past Connecticut, it has to be cleaned up, and in the meantime, it's a danger.
Craig,
but those three trees there, they're just look like they're going to go at any time.
Craig.
One other thing I want to point out to you, if you are still here in this area, if you see water but can't see the street, the rule is don't drive through it. You don't know how deep that water is, so keep that in mind as a matter of safety. I'm Craig Figner, reporting live, NBC Connecticut News, as we watch some of the damage unfold from these powerful winds. I'm going to send it back to you on this live picture, and we'll keep the picture for you. Okay, looks like it's going to happen there.
Craig, as we watch these trees look like they're going to begin to topple, just moments ago we saw a truck driving by this road just beneath these trees. Have you seen any police officers out maybe to block off this road?
Well, I could only hear part of that. My concern is there's still traffic on this street, and I don't think they realize this. And so if those trees come down as a car comes by, just as one did, I mean, this is not going to be a good scene. Those trees are going to slam right into the car. Now, they're not trees long enough to, I don't think, tall enough rather, to close the road. But like, here comes a vehicle. It's going to be okay, of course. But we've got more strong wind gusts on the way. So, again, if you want to hang on these pictures, we're just gonna keep focused on this, and we can.
We do, Craig. What we're going to do, we want to bring in Ryan Hanrahan to describe the atmospheric conditions and the conditions of the Earth while we do keep that picture up. But Ryan is here with us now. And Ryan, between the wind and the rain and whatever's happening in the root system, what can you tell us about this picture?
Well, you can see it looks like it's sort of on top of rocks there on the side. So those are probably very shallow rooted trees because they couldn't get any deeper underneath those rocks. So that's probably why they're about to uproot. But we have seen other trees uprooted. We saw that tree in Jeff Stecker's live shot in Old Saybrook that was uprooted. And we're seeing this over and over again throughout the Connecticut shoreline. If we want to maybe double box weather graphics here, we can keep that live shot up so we can watch what's going on there in Mystic as the wind continues to buffet, and you can see the sort of soil and the roots bulging up as the tree is about to fall over.
Ryan, what makes this so concerning, though, and I know that we're not talking about humongous trees here, but what makes this so concerning is that the road right beneath these trees is open. We have seen a couple of vehicles now in the past couple of minutes passing by this road. It's a potential hazard.
Well, and that's why people really shouldn't be on the roads, because not only are we dealing with storm surge flooding in some places around Mystic that's covering the roads, we're also dealing with hazards like this. We're going to see power lines come down. We have power outages across the state, and we're also looking at trees and tree limbs and all sorts of stuff coming on. So there's all sorts of hazards out there, even though if you look out your window and say, hey, it's just windy, I can drive in the rain. Well, you don't know what's down the road or what may come down on your car, but you can see the wind buffeting the trees around, and that is just one of, I'm sure, tens of thousands of trees across Connecticut that are going to suffer a similar fate before too long. I do want to talk about storm surge here, because that's one of the most imminent concerns. If we can head over to the weather maps right now, we'll take a look at what's going on. And guys, if you see that in the control room, if you want to switch back at any time we need to, certainly feel free to do that. All right, so wind gusts in New London have been steadily increasing through the day. Let's take a look back at what we started with. About 8 o'clock, we had wind gusts in New London near 40 miles per hour. By 11, we were up to near 50, same at 2 o'clock, but we saw a spike around 3 o'clock, and still winds gusting to near 75 miles per hour in the New London area. And once we get toward 8, there will be a gradual decrease, with winds finally beginning to drop off. Now, once you move inland right now, we're looking at wind gusts that started off in the mid-20s this morning, and now as you take a live look outside in New London, you can see that wind really whipping around, and that's going to continue across the state, really. And the strongest winds will be moving inland as we move through the next couple hours. So we will see conditions along the shoreline continue at this level, and then inland we'll see winds probably picking up by about 8 o'clock to the 50 to 55, maybe even 60 mile per hour level, and then slowly begin to decrease as we move toward midnight. So here's the deal with the high tide. And Jeff, I'm going to ask you, can you flip the teleprompter for me so I can see what I'm doing? There we go. It's better when I can see myself. 4 o'clock low tide in New London and Stonington. That has passed, so now the water's beginning to rise again. In Old Saybrook, low tide is right about now, so the water will continue to rise. The low tide is 6 o'clock in New Haven and East Haven and points west. So once we get past 6 o'clock, we are going to see a dramatic water rise in the western part of the Sound. The water is rising quickly now in the eastern portion of the Sound now that low tide has passed and we're moving toward high tide. So each hour we get closer to high tide, the water level will increase and the storm surge is increasing too. So if you maybe went down to the shoreline around low tide and you thought, hey, this doesn't look so bad, that's not going to last for very long. There will be an abrupt and a life-threatening water rise across the entire Long Island Sound from Stonington all the way to Greenwich over the next few hours. So here's the deal in New London. Right now, the tide is at 5.6 feet, and we're forecasting a peak tide of about 8.5 feet, which will bring it close to Hurricane Carol, but likely just shy of that level. But we'll watch things because the surge level is increasing. There's about a 6-foot storm surge in New London right now. So that's going to bring us close to where we were back in '54 for the great Hurricane Carol. Now in Stamford, we're forecasting a peak tide of 14.5 feet. High tide's not till midnight. So after 6 o'clock, when low tide hits, water will rise very fast, and we will tack on about 10 feet from where the water is now to where the water will be as we head toward high tide, and that's of big concern. So if you have not evacuated, or maybe you're thinking about heading down to look at what happened this morning when the storm surge came in, get out. This is going to be a life-threatening storm surge. We have not seen water levels like this in some parts of Connecticut in decades, in some cases since the 1938 Hurricane Jerry. And Keisha, back to you.
All right, thank you very much. Ryan, what do you say we take a deep breath and hit the restart button?
I say we do it.
This is NBC.
may be happening at any second.
We don't get to see this on live television very often, and we just happen to be in the right place at the right time. And this is what we're talking about when you very often, and we just happen to be in the right place at the right time. And this is what we're talking about.